After all this, you still...
I still want that gas, yes. And you had better deliver.
Hey, folks, surprise, surprise. It is that week between Christmas and New Year's where nobody's doing a goddamn thing.
As they should.
But I have been taken by a surprise wind of obligation, desperation, and feeling like I need to get 2 more episodes out by the end of the year. So, joining me today is everyone's favorite guest / co-host, Skyy.
Ooh, hello, everyone.
You know, I get the most requests for episodes with you because that's when like it's less stuffy and talking about dork shit.
I mean, I have 100% of a do not give a fucks going on. Just only sometimes. And I try to bring that more out. I give like just a little.
There needs to be a scale for like giving a fuck. You know what I mean?
There really does. Like
a standardized 1 out of 10 scale.
Like my scale is honestly just being not really that prepared. Like I'm okay with a B. I've always been okay with B's
as a grade.
Yeah.
I guess if we're trying to make a standardized scale, you know, who's the middle like value, and then who's our 0 value for like does not give a fuck, and then who's our opposite end for gives too many. So I'm thinking for our 0 end, maybe the dad from Shameless.
Frank.
Yeah.
And then who gives too much?
I'd say
Janine from Abbott Elementary.
If we're talking TV characters, yes. Otherwise, I was going to talk about the mouse from Bear in the Big Blue House.
It was so fucking random. I love that shit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I wanted to hug him. That's it.
He needed it. He needed it.
We all needed it. Bush era.
And then who's our, like, in the scale of 1 through 10, who's the 5? Who is the gives the healthy, respectable, manageable amount?
Honestly, I don't know.
It is difficult to reckon. I do declare. I'd say Dexter. Not from Dexter's Laboratory. Okay, on a scale of Dexters. I
was like, I literally thought Dexter Laboratory. I was like, I think he gave too many fucks. Like, he was a child and he had a laboratory.
I don't know. Like, I feel like it's healthy to actually be somewhat neurotic or to be a little too, like, free with it. Being perfectly balanced with some of this stuff is kind of weird to me.
No one's perfect.
Who cares the right amount? How do you even... What does that even mean?
Yeah. It's all of the right amount and perfect. It's all a fucking lie. It's just something to make you feel bad so they can sell something to you. It's always to sell something to you, I promise. So just don't...
Surprise, surprise. Even in our casual episodes, we talking about the same shit.
Yeah,
consumerism.
Capitalism sucks. People like to make you feel bad about your body and everything you have. All
to sell you products, you know.
Yeah, to sell you products, to sell you a lifestyle, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, even though we're talking about television is literally that. Like, it will...
I feel like, you know what? When we talk about mind control, we don't talk about television as a form of mind control.
Yeah.
Not to get annoyed with it out of the blue.
Yeah, like especially if you can just think about like Fox News, like how.
Well, no, I'm just news outside. Take news outside.
Yeah,
of
even
the whole
outside
thing.
of news, like just like fictional media, like all of that, even like things that are nonfiction, like based off of real people that you're like getting a glimpse in, all of that is like just false. It's what they want us to see of it, not to get into like conspiracy, like the they that DJ Khaled be talking about, but like
The non-binary people?
no.
Oh, the they.
They.
The ones who don't want you to succeed.
Yeah.
God. I'm remembering this one show because, okay, when we started dating, we were both of the global homo persuasion of media consumption. So that included watching a lot of Netflix original series. And remember when like Netflix started doing like sitcoms for whatever reason?
Well, it's because sitcoms are good, but people just don't know how to adapt them to like.
Well, they exist because of cable television. They exist for product placement. They exist for somewhat low budget operations. And we're going to have to tie this back because we've been watching Modern Family recently for whatever reason. And God, that show's doing a number. White people pull back the curtain on that one. Anyways, so what was that one show where it like, what was it? One Day at a Time, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And there was just like this weird shit. It's like scene they did as a gag where it's like one of their white friends or whatever comes in like a Che Guevara shirt, and then like the whole family, which was like Cuban American in the show, like just makes a whole hissy fit about it and like tells him he's like anti-democratic, and they turned it into like a weird pro-America thing as a gag. If you remember that scene at all? I
remember a little bit of this. I don't remember a lot of that. I don't remember a lot of the TV shows I watch. I remember how they made me feel, and I remember like I just forget about certain episodes, but I do kind of remember that, and it was just like roll my eyes, like
I think I was like
corny.
I was definitely not as well read as I am now at the time. But even then, I'm like, turn this shit off. Don't talk shit about Che like that. Oh God. So, to get to the subject of this episode, actually, if anyone does keep up with our podcast Twitter, I may have tweeted at some point at the start of the year that we wanted to start a series called Shows My Girlfriend Made Me Watch. And we wanted to cover the show Living Single on it. The thing is like for the kind of production I wanted to put on for that one, I would need like Hulu documentary level access and budget, because I wanted to get into that whole angle of like, NBC or Fox or whatever network it was definitely ripped it off to make Friends. You know,
I mean, they literally 100% admitted it. They watched Living Single and they're like, I want that. Like, make that in white. This is 100% factual. This is not a conspiracy. Like Queen Latifah has said it. If you do like a basic amount of research, you can find out that Friends was a ripoff of Living Single, and they don't want you to know. Again,
they don't want you to know.
The networks don't want you to know, because that means that they saw that black media was profitable but not black people. Or like they know that black people are profitable, but they would rather fund white people instead. In ways.
Well, so instead what we settled on, instead of getting like a full documentary treatment for this historical atrocity,
which I would love if anyone wants to like give us funding for.
If someone wants to give us, listen, we can, as long as you give us like staff and like cast interviews limited to 15 minutes and like a budget of $50,000, we could get it done. And the $50,000 is mostly going to go towards buying like a computer that can handle video editing.
Gotta get a Mac.
I'm brand agnostic on this one. I'm just talking about getting the documentary done at that point.
True.
Windows, PC, Mac, Linux. It's all the devil.
But whoever giving us money, if you got money, I know most likely y'all do not have money. But if y'all get into some money, you find somebody
I'm talking directly to like the ghouls that like trough through podcasts. If you are a producer and you have access to the Hulu documentaries, listen, we can do it for $50K, or you buy our idea for $100K.
Think about it.
Take a second.
And then you can say that it was like black and Indian queer
POC produced.
like just use all of the optics. I will let you use me if you pay me. Just pay me. Like that's what my job.
We'll show up to the reception. We'll show up to the viewing.
I'll put it on social media. I don't even post, bro. Like I will post.
So like what social media are you still on at this point? Because I think like literally I have a Reddit account I use to lurk. I don't even like look at anything. I am not a Redditor by any stretch. And then I have Twitter, which is the only thing I'm active on, you could say. Mm-hmm. I don't count YouTube as a social media. I don't count any app that's like for chatting as social media, but that's all I use.
I'm on Facebook, and I'm technically on Instagram, even though I barely get on Instagram. Or if I am on Instagram, I'll scroll for like 3 seconds and then be like, this isn't it, and get off of it. Instagram and Facebook, I have to lurk, and I'm proud of it. And I agree that maybe that's why some things should be kept. And then I have Twitter. I technically have Snapchat, but I think I'm gonna delete it.
I mean, Snapchat used to be fun in high school and in college, but like once, I guess by the time we all graduated, it just turned into like an ad filled.
I mean, a bad ad filled. Like they like took away all of the best features and then just made it ugly and stupid and like
50 foods to clear up your skin.
Kim Kardashian says Kanye West is annoying her to the very end.
Man with no legs. I hate it when they like be taking somebody with a disability or a disfigurement and just be putting them in a
It's
spectrum.
like, what does this have to do with me seeing my friends? And why are these articles way easier for me to read than like seeing my friends' Snap stories?
It'll be the worst is when like it subscribes you to people you've never heard of.
Or when it suggests people that you absolutely hate. Like it suggested one of my ex-managers.
It's because their number is still in your phone.
But no,
I gotta cut that, by the way.
Nobody knows who she is. But like it was after she was. I already deleted her contact, and they still suggested her.
Probably because they're like a connected friend to everyone else.
Which I don't think any other people were friends with her on Snapchat.
So
she was a horrible boss. Exactly. And then I deleted the like connection, and then they kept popping up her. Like I had to like block her so I could stop seeing them suggest her, because I don't want to know what's happening in her shitty life. I hope it's bad, but I don't need to see it. I hope a lot of people's lives is bad, but that's none of my business. I'm just hoping that they have a bad life. I stand by that.
So yeah, Snapchat's a mess. And I mean, I don't know. I really am of half the mind of like, if Twitter does collapse, I will just do this show blind.
I told you earlier, but you really need to get on Pinterest. It's just
it's all media, no social.
It's no social,
only media.
Like you could send pins to people, but like it's still
that's just the equivalent of like, hey, look at this meme. That's
yeah, like it's basically what I do on Twitter, but like they have more like helpful things. Like everything on Pinterest is supposed to be some type of like betterment even if it's like hobby crafts, learning how to do something, making a color palette for like your dream room or looking stuff for your wedding, all that shit. That's at least better than just scrolling through fucking Twitter and just getting your mind numbed, reading bad things after bad things. Go pin some stuff.
So I guess to tie us back to our discussion, what's worse for your brain? And this is really like a race to the bottom. Is the goddamn TV worse for your brain, or is the goddamn phone?
Honestly, part of me wants to say the phone, but a part of me really knows it's both. Like it's not them. Actually, it's not the item. It's everyone's relationship with it. Yeah. And like moderation, blah 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 blah. Nobody wants to hear, and nobody wants to do, but everybody wants to like have the benefits of it. And
everybody want to moderate their electronics use, though nobody want to actually do it.
Like, I'm so tired of reading articles. Like, and that's the negative of Pinterest, because you are getting lots of ads. You will be reading an article, and it will be like random ad to some app you never heard of, and they're like, use this app and it'll change your life, and you think about it and you're like, it won't change my life, and then you like search it on the app store and it's like $5.99. I'm like, it definitely ain't about to change my life for $6. But like they all social media is just, it's sad, and you should get off of it, and I could suggest taking it out of the room and possibly like turning it off 30 minutes before bed, but that's hard, and you can try it, but if you don't do it, don't feel ashamed. Just start trying to put yourself on a limit. I put myself on time limits for certain social media. I have extended those time limits every single day, but I have them, and then now I feel a little guilty for being, not really right now, because I'm like, it's vacation, so I deserve to be on social media.
It is that week between Christmas and New Year's where nothing is getting done.
Like, this is well, I've actually gotten things done. Like, we've cleaned I cleaned the bathroom. We did all of the laundry. I'm gonna go through the closet.
Man, there is some stan of this podcast just going through like.
But if you don't get to it, it's okay. But
it actually, once the fruit fly show up, it's not okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, bro.
Well, it's just, I mean, part of me has always wanted to have like a thing where we make sure like the kitchen is clean at night. And like, you are very good at like doing it. I am not at a certain point, like especially if it's like after work, I'm like, fuck that kitchen. Like, it'll get clean, and it will get clean, but like still like waking up, and then you have to clean the kitchen, and then like you can't have clean or have a cup of coffee if the kitchen dirty, or you can't have breakfast until the kitchen's clean. Like, it's little things you can start doing that are going to help you. And I think it's more focusing on the things that you want to do and stop trying to be on social media. Because if you focus on the things you want to do, you're just going to do those and not be on your phone.
I think that's facts. I think the only thing I would add is just like, I'm only going to say phones are worse because that's where capital's pushing the money. But maybe once upon a time it was TV because that's where capital was pushing the money.
Yeah, because
phones
weren't a thing.
And I guess, the thing with phones is just like they can inject the dopamine directly into your ass. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And collect data from you while they do it. So I'd say it's worse on that front. But I mean, like, I don't know. I keep getting into... I'm such a crank in, like, my personal life and shit that I'm pretty sure people are like, God damn it, here he goes again. But like,
You're not a crank.
I have a podcast.
Okay. Doesn't mean you're a crank. That means other things, but continue
What
on
other
your thought. Continue on your thought. We don't want to waste the people's time.
No, I think they're here for it. Anyways, yeah. What I'm trying to get at is we had this concept in the work for a minute. Sorry for this. Actually, no. You should know that this show does sidetracks. Get over it. What we tried to do instead was to come up with a list of 5 shows we would not have been exposed to had it not been for our partner making us watch it. And we're just going to go through them one by one. And then to end that, we have a wild card category, which is the craziest thing you did not know exist. Until your partner put it on. You're like, oh, that's what you into.
Yeah. I have something for that, but I'll save it for the end.
All right. So, as we mentioned earlier, I guess we are going to start with Living Single for one of your shows.
'Cause we're living single. So, a little recap, and I swear to God, if you like Friends, you'll love Living Single, unless you're racist. But
I mean, Living Single in some ways is like this. There would be no Friends without Living Single. There would be no How I Met Your Mother without this. And every other like clone of that kind of show.
Like
there would not be New Girl without Living Single.
The real big thing is like, and we were talking about this when we were watching it, or rewatching it, is that like in all of those shows where there's like a group and it's a mixed group of girls and boys and they're all assumed hetero and cis, it's always like a will they won't they, multiple people fucking and like entanglements and like just messy things. And not saying that this doesn't have that, and I'm not gonna spoil everything, but it's just it's done more maturely. But it's about a group of friends. They live in a brownstone in Brooklyn. They are all black. Khadijah, who is played by Queen Latifah, and she's so hot. She's giving dyke, even though she's supposed to be straight and like sure Jan. But she is she has her own magazine that she created, and then there is oh
man, we gonna have a big cast breakdown.
Oh, okay, maybe we don't go.
I mean, no. Basically, Khadijah James, and that's the other thing is that it is a cast of 5, but they aren't afraid to let her be the main character.
Yes, so like she's like, the cool thing is like, even though she's not, but from the standards of main characters, she's heavier than the normal main character. So like she still gets the classic fine 90s men, like all of the ones that everybody was thirsting over, all like which
we should probably get into. Like one of the most fun aspects is the live studio audience.
I was just about to say literally you could tell how popular a person was, even if you don't know who they are, by how crazy the live studio audience would go when they would like open the door for their dates. And it's just like, it's very real, and that's why you can't do sitcoms anymore, because you need
live audience reality.
Yeah, there's most likely not going to be a live audience. It's like Saturday Night Live and a few other like things like gossip TV shows are the last things that really have things live, but well, even if it's edited, but like have a live audience. And the addition of the live audience really was amazing and unique, and it felt real in Living Single. And I'm not gonna say just white like TV shows,
But a lot of this genre of show, right?
Yeah, like a lot of this genre just does not do it right. But I feel like Living Single does. But I'll go into less of a character breakdown. Basically, they have it's a group of friends. 3 of them are roommates. 2 of them are related. One is the like very hot, like everybody wants her, sexy, sex appeal girl. The other one is like bimbo, dummy, like cute, lovable, very much like Phoebe.
Very materialistic.
No, that's yes, Regina, but
yeah. Other one. Yeah.
Sinclair. They like took Max or Sinclair and made that Phoebe 100%.
Yeah.
Like that, just the flowery, ditzy, but like very sincere, artistic, loving, like that character. And then upstairs we have the 2 boys. They are close. There's a love thing going on from the beginning with 2 of the characters. There's a will she, won't they, like with another of
the first
characters.
Season is them getting together, right? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
But like it's like that. It has those like ups and downs, and like you can literally, if you think about Friends, they have so many similarities. The living in the same place, the 2 people being related, the ditzy character, the like one that's always on dates, the ones who's like the main character, the goofball. They just added more white people in Friends.
Well, I think like because there's so much to get into with all of these shows, right? So I think the biggest thing I'll say about Living Single, right, is that it's very ahead of the curve, right? One with like when people talk about like woke media, they're not going far back enough to actually talk about how there was like a very well-defined and very sophisticated market for Black entertainment in America in like the 90s and 2000s.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people would like to say that some networks really profited off of Black media in the 90s and 2000s, and then dropped it like it was hot. If it wasn't, I don't like, even think like it was Bush ratings.
Era, but I think it was like the Bush era at that point where it's like we got to make everything look just a little more white.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's like
it really is.
Not, but...
I do think it's controlled because one of the ones that aren't on this list, Moesha, like they didn't cancel Moesha because of ratings or anything. They just canceled it. They didn't explain. The ratings were like still steadily great, so that would have been great for advertising. They just canceled it, and they could. And it's just like, would you have done that? I mean, nowadays, yes, but like in that time, would you have done that to just Friends? Or would you have done that to any other, like, I don't know, Ally McBeal? I don't know who was on during that.
That 70s show? Would they have done that to that 70s show?
No, that 70s show wasn't on yet.
I know.
But like 90210, whatever.
Would they have done that to Columbo?
Would they have done that to Dawson's Creek, to One Tree Hill, to all of these other shows? Like, no, they wouldn't have.
Would they have done it to Veronica Mars?
They kind of did. Well,
they did.
No, she dropped in ratings though, so it kind of made sense, but it was still messy.
Well, so all this is kind of like what I was trying to get at, right? Is that it is the precursor to a lot of these like romantic sitcoms with a rotating cast.
Mm-hmm.
But what it does excellently is like it does the representation right, but then there's no moment that's wasted. All the plot lines are wrapped up in the end. The character arcs, for what they are, do exist.
Mm-hmm.
It's surprisingly watchable, even like how many years has it been since it's been out?
It's literally was like mid 90s, and it is it's not like too dated, and like I know like the 90s isn't that far away, but like it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm watching a show from the 90s. It just seems like you're watching an older show. But one of the things that I saw on Twitter is like people talking about like there's no filler episodes in seasons, or if they are, they're not like good filler episodes. Like they're like filler episodes where you're just like, the next time I watch this, if I watch this again, I'm definitely gonna skip this episode. Like shows like Living Single would have filler episodes that would like be important for next episodes, or like
The only thing I've seen this in is in like well done anime where like there are like filler episodes, but it's at like a point in the plot where it makes sense and it's like a plot recap,
right,
or it's like some much needed exposition or something like that.
Right. Like it just, yeah, it felt like they knew, like they used the time that they had very well, and it was very good. It had enough of things that were current, but things that are timeless, just like situations about being in relationships, telling people you like them, like all of those things that you see from any sitcom or anything that has a group of friends. But yeah, it's a real shame that you really only Black people know about Living Single, but everybody knows about Friends. And I endured watching Friends for one of my ex-friends. And I'm telling you, there's very little like Friends episodes that I can even remember, but I even think that were funny. Like I can probably not really name them, but like I'll think about Pivot when I'm moving and I'm like, ha ha ha, Pivot. But like other than that, I'm like Friends is very subpar, but they were given like 1 million seasons because subpar white people is better than excellent Black people or Black talent.
More importantly, I don't know what it was, but it made that product deal and that them ad breaks go down smoother for whatever reason.
Right. Like also, yeah, like I know that what we were definitely getting advertised to because that's what television is. But, like, I can't remember, like, a very overt, like, annoying ad, like, placement that I'm like, oh, my God, they couldn't even, like, smoothly edit this in Living Single that I usually see. It'll be like, wow, we just got tickets for the Nickelodeon cruise for only kids. Like, TM, like what the fuck?
I mean, in conclusion, we're just holding back all the things we could say about the oversized footprint that Friends has on the culture.
And I'm not saying that if you like Friends, you're uncultured, but I'm definitely saying
check out Living Single.
I'm saying instead of rewatching Friends again, I know it's probably one of your comfort shows. Try watching something else, especially because Friends has like 1 million seasons and like other things don't. So maybe just like if you're looking for something different, try something different. Think about it.
Okay, let's move to one of mine. So kind of how we were talking about how Living Single is like the precursor to multicast rom-coms.
Mm-hmm.
I got The Sopranos as the first one on my list. So I'm incredibly late to The Sopranos.
Hey, Paulie. I don't know why.
Look at this guy over here busting balls and everything.
Don't bust my balls. Gabagoo.
You're telling me all this came from a slice of gabagoo?
Gabagoo. We enjoyed The Sopranos. Yes, we did.
So yeah, like in a similar vein to how Living Single is like a precursor, this is a moot point. There's been so many things that have been said about The Sopranos that I'm repeating at this point. I'm pretty sure I don't this must be I'm probably the class of people that has watched it in 2022 for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when people did start rewatching it, it was like at the start of the pandemic or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, it is a show about decline. It is a show about being late to the party. So, I mean, it's cosmically poetic in that sense. One thing I definitely say about it is there's no Game of Thrones without The Sopranos. There's no White Lotus without The Sopranos.
I agree.
But at the same time, The Sopranos is its own thing, right? Like, I don't know if mob media is gonna make a comeback. I would like it to. It's a genre. Like I've talked before on the podcast about how like my favorite genres are like blaxploitation and like martial arts films. I'd say organized crime films are like an additional favorite there, although I haven't explored that genre much.
Mm-hmm.
But I think having the setting of like the mafia and the existing body of work of cinema that is, tying it to like a critique of end of history America, to like immigration and assimilation and like the kind of pathetic character we all have in the modern world and everything. Timeless stuff. Incredibly timeless stuff. And this is a show that's from like 1999, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for a show to like hold up 23, now verging on 24 years after that.
Like, very much so. Like, there was flashbacks of them interacting with black people, and then it was very similar to how they were currently at that point interacting with black people and how people interact with black people now. It's just like, wow, dang, this is really the same thing, and people just did not learn. And I already knew that, but it's like very interesting to see it be shown in this way from this view.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like, one of the best episodes is that Christopher Columbus episode,
which was written by Christopher.
Michael
Imperioli wrote that episode, I think, which is just crazy. Mm-hmm. It's funny that he was able to do that concept, and like some of the ways they even criticize culture on The Sopranos is very prescient for how people talk about race and identity today, right? Where it's like, people always talk about, people hide behind their identities and shit, but it's like the mob does that. You could call them as like unwoke today, but then they always hide back on that. But I'm Italian American, it's how I was raised.
I mean, and that's the thing. That's the same thing with any group of people.
We are all woke and unwoke in our own choosings. Like all of us.
It's very much, a lot of people have the same mindset, but they have like different ways to get there. It's like when you see like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Rashida like having voting, and similarly, it's like, it's not because they have the exact same thoughts. They want the exact same outcome,
right? But
it's not, they didn't get that math problem the same way.
That's why you show your work.
Your work.
But again, like, I think The Sopranos is one of the most prescient commentaries of like American fragility, if you could call it that. And that's why it holds up, because I don't think we've changed since then.
No. And yeah, like it being about like the decline of the mob, and like we're just in this decline of imperialism and America and capitalism, and we see it around, but there's just so much trying to uphold it. And like, even when you see like things being done and you're like, this is not the best thing, this is not how you should this should be the solution, it's justified because it's always trying to uphold this bigger thing that's better for more people. And it usually isn't.
Right. So, yeah, in conclusion, James Gandolfini, top 10 TV actors.
May he rest in peace.
R.I.P. to a real one. Pour one out. Also just learning that, like, that dude struggled with, like, self-hate his whole career, despite being so talented, like, was one of those things that really inspired me to stop being so hard on myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, God. Not to say I'm as talented as him. That's not what I'm saying.
No,
It's
but,
more
like,
just,
the thing is, like, do you... And obviously this is speculation, but that probably could have impacted his life expectancy. Like, he died at, like, what, 60 something?
Younger than he should have. Yeah.
Very much younger than he should have. And not to be all, but, like, maybe if he had a better outlook of who he was, or like just more confidence, maybe he would have been a little bit of healthier. Not saying automatically, but
He didn't take interviews or none of that shit. So it's very funny that this guy is, like, putting, like, a masterclass on display in this, like, quote unquote mob show, right? Mm-hmm. Of acting. And then if you ask him about it, he's like, "Oh, I'm just a fat fuck from Jersey." It's like, "No, sir, you are the fat fuck from Jersey." Oh, man. All right. We can move to another from your list. Next up, we got Gilmore Girls. That's another show where white people really pull back the curtain.
Where you live, I will follow.
No.
Anywhere. Yeah, Gilmore Girls was really crazy because it was something that, like, a lot of people watched because it was on. Like, it was on a part of ABC Family's, like, afternoon lineup, and a lot of people would get home and it would be on, so you would watch the reruns, and then maybe you watched it during the weekday whenever it came on, but most likely not. You probably were just watching reruns. But it's about a mother and daughter duo, and they're very close, and she had her when she was 16, and we start seeing her when she's 16, and they're not rich, but richer than most. They're her parents.
I mean, she got some blue blood parents or something.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
her parents are, like, very well off and were very shamed that her daughter had a baby at 16 and didn't marry the man. So, like, they lived a life separately from her rich parents, and now she needs money from them because her daughter's trying to get into some hoity-toity, like, private
Dartmouth,
school.
Princeton, whatever shit.
Well, like, she wants to get
the start
into,
of it was,
like, the high school.
Preparatory school.
But, yeah, it's because, like, more likely she would go into, like, one of the Ivies if she's from one of these top high schools.
And then for the mom, it's more hijinks of her trying to find a man, basically.
Yeah, trying to find a man, trying to forgive her parents, trying to be forgiven by her parents, because, like, a part of her just was like, "I'm tired of you telling me what to do. I'm leaving." It was, like, very childish and, like, understandable, because I'm not saying, like, if you have a rift with your family, you should just go back to them because, like, whatever. But it was very much, she made this decision when she was very young. She's been doing it for so long, so she felt like she shouldn't have to ask for help, so her pride was mostly getting into it. And, like, they, like, go and have dinner with her parents, the child's grandparents, and, like, her love life, the kids' love life, a lot of nasty Yale, Harvard bull, because, like, those are the schools that you're thinking about going to.
The 1% was really trying to rehabilitate themselves with this show.
And, well, except for it like, how can you just allow your kid to be, like 16, fresh baby and just out there. Like, even if you didn't want, like, even if she's not gonna live the life you want her to, you need to like step up and give that kid like them some money so they can live, and like whatever, step back. And but it was about some very rich people wanting to continue their very rich lifestyle, and it was very gauche for
basically it though. You're right. It's like it's this blue blood family trying to maintain its way through in the world. And it's like, oh, their first daughter is temporarily embarrassed, upper middle class, so the granddaughter will be a just scion of neoliberalism. Like, didn't she get like what was it, like a position at the State Department or like some?
No, even worse. Like, the first part of the series end with Rory being a part of the press that follows Obama around when he was in his first presidential bid.
Oh shoot.
Like, but very early on. So I appreciate it, because like usually those things, I'm just surprised that it didn't have her following Hillary, because this is, at this point, that was before like he was confirmed the nominee. So like this is when him and Hillary were going at it. So it's just surprising. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna give them that little thing. I was shooketh as a Black person watching a TV show about people who live in Connecticut. That has also, the fun fact about that TV show is the creator is Asian. And
so the only Asian characters are basically the Asian stereotype mother, and then like the daughter who hates her mother. That's it. Well, that's it.
And it's less, and it gets better because the tension, like, it does have a little bit of a resolution. Like, you see the growth, so it isn't just like the same arguments happening. But it is, I really hate how the Asian lady made the Asian character like a C plot. Like she was there ever so often. I wouldn't really call her a main character. Like,
it just felt like an excuse for the creator to take a snipe at their own mother, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And like,
all I'm gonna say about the Gilmore Girls is like, it's more like middle class aspirational bullshit being packaged as like an inspirational mother-daughter story. And for what it's worth, like, the reason why people love this show is because the dialogue is so like catchy, and like the conversations are very easy to keep up with. So you want to
sometimes they just be talking about like some straight up white people shit,
right?
Like if I really wanted to, you can do a drinking game of like
the grandfather. Like, oh my god, that was a wasp's wasp.
That was the wasp's wasp. Like
that was the progenitor of the Bush family.
I mean, he literally, the other roles that he played were like judge, superintendent, hard ass, like
Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Yeah, he played FDR. It's something like, it's just absolutely just a old ass motherfucker who looked like that. Just, you can imagine. A hefty man.
6'5", hefty.
They do not have men that big
always
anymore.
has scotch or whiskey in his hand, kind of shit.
But like, it's
well, Rory, I'm very disappointed to find out you didn't get into Princeton, but you got into Dartmouth, which is my alma mater, I gotta say.
It was actually Yale, and she used to want to go to Harvard, and then she wanted to go to Yale, which is where her granddaddy went to. And Lorelai was
so do you think he was
mad.
was he doing Skull and Bones shit?
Oh, he definitely was doing Skull and Bones shit. 100%. 120%.
Oh god.
He was definitely like the president of Skull and Bones his years. Like every bad thing that you heard the Bushes and all of their descendants.
He's the one who told them to do it.
He's the one who's like, hey.
He's the one who made the call. Hey, bro, you gotta jam up them hanging chads in Florida. You heard me?
But yeah, if you wanna watch something extremely white, it's good for that. What they try to do with the town that she lives in is really cute, because it's supposed to be like this small town that's like cutesy, and they have like they don't have shopping malls and big box stores. You go to the local
It's a town
grocers.
that looks like a sundown town but isn't.
Yes, they're like supposed to, but like there's no black people. Like I've seen there's been black
there's a dude
extras.
who works at the hotel.
He's French.
That's the most Napoleonic thing you've said. Oh my fucking god.
I'm sorry. He is black. He is the only one.
Would you put some respect on Michelle's name? I can't believe it.
But other than that, there's no other black characters or black like background characters either. But yeah, that idea is cute. Like it would be cute to have a small town where you know everybody and everybody has everything in like a 2-block radius, and
It's walkable.
It's walkable and like safe. Like, but that's not realistic. Very much fiction. But we can continue.
Gilmore Girls, I think, is one of those shows that's just like it's probably like fun to put on in the background, but like when you think about it, it's like, is this the message we want to send to our kids?
I mean,
to become like a career-driven psycho?
And I mean, I love watching shows that I used to watch and like admire characters or parts of characters and just being like, oh my god, this character is absolutely horrible. I don't know if it's on the list, Sex and the City.
It shouldn't be, but yeah,
but
let's bring it up.
We don't have to bring it up, but like Carrie, she's the main character, and 100%, if you watch Sex and the City knowing that Carrie is the villain and thinking about Carrie as the villain, your eyes will be open. You will see it in a different light. But yeah, there's characters that you should rewatch from shows that you watch and think about, were they the hero or were they the main character?
Speaking on that show, I'd like to give our friend Isaac a shout out for their joke. If Kim Cattrall wasn't on that show, it would only be called In the City.
Yes. And that's exactly what this new version of it, even though they got Miranda being gay, I don't care. It's giving very white.
It's giving turf. It's
giving J.K. Rowling. It's giving J.K. Rowling. And you don't want to be giving J.K. Rowling.
You don't.
So think about that.
Okay. Following up on my list, regular show.
Amazing.
It's a cartoon. I'm not going to get too deep into it.
No, the most important thing is we need more shows about two people being dumbasses. Like that needs to be the brand of a lot more shows. I'm tired of how serious everything is. Put two dumbasses as the main character and let's see how it goes.
Yeah, it's a cartoon with that as the premise. I'm not going to defend it as great art. It was just something we were putting on because we didn't know what to watch one day, and like we both thought it was hilarious.
Yes, it is very funny. It's
SpongeBob with stakes, if you will.
Yeah, well, it's SpongeBob like sometimes things happen, sometimes things don't. In regular show, every episode is a thing that is happening, and it happens. And like the episodes aren't that long, so like it will be just like la 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 la, and
accidentally
then
triggering the apocalypse.
Yeah,
then,
like destruction, like every bad thing, like, and it'll have you on your toes. Like, you know everything's gonna be fine. It's a cartoon, but like it's still like you're just like how would you even get yourself in these shenanigans? And I know a few people who will probably get into shenanigans like that if it was physically possible.
You know who else would get into physical shenanigans like that? My mom. I'm gonna cut that. That actually is. No, I'm gonna cut. Let's redo that.
Sad. Okay, but yes, I adore cartoons because I love the idea of just absolutely impossible things happening and then everything becoming normal again.
Because it's a Cartoon Network show, it's not under the same pressures as like Netflix garbage where it's like badly animated, just weird like Photoshop shit.
It's like, well, like with Cartoon Network, it's like these kids gonna watch this. Like it don't matter. Like you you barely have to make it like good. It's like some parent is going to substitute this Cartoon Network show for a babysitter. So, or like this a few hours of Cartoon Network, so I don't have to think about it. But like, I feel like the regular show said some things. It showed a lot of cause and effect that I feel like is very important for children to see.
I don't know who the target audience was for this show. I really don't.
Because they had a lot of sly jokes, but it feels like one of those shows.
Like they turned off the lights. All right, I'm naked. Muscle Man, it's not that kind of party.
It feels like the show that they want you to watch with your kids. Like, so maybe they try to get them to watch regular show. The parents will get a glimpse of it and be like, is this like appropriate for children? And then start watching it themselves, and then that's how they get you,
right?
Because it is technically appropriate for children because children don't understand innuendos. They don't understand all of them. Like, I did not understand what the XXX bottles or whatever, like they had the bottles and like it was supposed to be booze. It's supposed to be booze and like Looney Tune shit. Like, obviously I understand that now, and I understand that when I was growing, like at a point when I was growing up, but when I was like, yay,
definitely like the one that went over my head as a kid was like the wolf like howling and like hitting the table, his eyes popping out his head. That's the one you learned the hard way. That's the one you learned as
how did you learn that the hard way?
When you become the howling wolf. That's when you
you're like, oh, that's why he was doing it. Oh, good to know.
Oh gosh. All right. Next up on your list, another cartoon, Bob's Burgers.
So, this is again why I like to tell people to try new shows, because I was a person who would just rewatch like random shows from my childhood that like probably didn't really bring me that much serotonin, but like it was like, oh, I used to watch Gilmore Girls every day at 4 p.m. so might as well rewatch that series again.
Bob's Burgers is like a 5 milligram dopamine patch every time you put it
Bob's
on.
Burgers is like the show that you want to turn all your friends onto. It's like it's like the easiest pill to swallow. It's
very relaxing television.
It is.
It's the perfect thing to watch while you're eating dinner.
It's perfect to eat dinner if you're crafting or doing something where you don't have to be paying attention to the television, but you want to hear something. You don't want to think about a playlist. You don't know whatever your song you were listening to don't feel right no more. So you're like, let me just put on something Bob's Burgers is that perfect thing, and it's another thing because again I at least
You
make
have rewatched this show a couple times now.
A couple times is not a good indicator. I've watched this show like definitely 30 plus times.
You admitted this on.
I am 100%.
You sure you don't want me to edit that out?
No, because
okay.
it's nothing wrong. It's a very funny show, and I will 100% also talk about it's probably because of my daddy issues, and Bob's such a good dad, and like. It's about a father. They are middle class, like so. There's not a lot of shows that have that. There's the father is actually present and not even just present, but like likes his family. There's not a lot of shows that do that.
My goddamn wife and kids.
And then like mom, Linda, she's sing-songy, and it makes me want to sing more, even though I know I'm bad at singing. It just makes
more
me
people
feel
should
bad.
sing. I'm tired of theater kids holding a monopoly on who gets to perform and who doesn't.
Like I should be able to sing. I'm not about to make no money off of it, but like
we need more bad art. we need more bad art in society.
Can't ever get good art if you don't have a shit ton of bad art. But like, and then like it has the 3 kids. One of the kids is boy crazy. Another kid is like musically inclined and
possibly gay.
Yeah, possibly queer. Very much hyper. And then the other one is mischievous, like
the prankster, basically.
Badass kid.
Yeah.
And like, even though she's the youngest, she's the smartest of them. But it is a very good like thing to watch when you don't know what to watch. And if you just want to hear something that could be funny, it's very heartfelt.
You know, back in the day, they used to have easy listening music. This here is easy watching. Thanks for attending our musical interlude. Next up on my list, we have... this is a double feature, mainly because it's the same production team, similar themes. I have Ramy and Mo. So Ramy is a Hulu original. Mo is a Netflix original. Both have the same creative team, basically. Mm-hmm. And Mo's only 1 season. Ramy's had 2 seasons at this point.
3
seasons, you're right. 3 seasons at this point. And is the more expansive of the 2. So... This show's a trip. To say the least. Like I think there is a glut of like sitcom with insert identity here. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? And then like when this show first came out, I was like, oh god damn it, it's gonna be another like Netflix Hulu original, except it's got like a Middle Eastern Arab / Muslim like bend to it, right? And I thought it was gonna be really corny, and then like I had a couple of friends like, no, this is fucking insane. You should check this out. And then I did, and I'm like, oh, this is a trip. The way each episode will put you in like a moral quandary, even if you're not like Arab, even if you're not Muslim. The kind of situations these characters end up in, and then the way like attention is given to their specific circumstances is like both entertaining and like very thoughtfully done. And also it's very dramatic and like very refreshingly like messy in a way that sitcoms aren't, right? Because it's not about like, oh, there's a peaceful resolution. Oh, it's not about oh, everyone will like come to an understanding. A lot of it is like
unsolved.
Unresolved. There's already not a right answer. So how do you tell someone to do the right thing? But then to top it off, our protagonist is very unlikable.
Mm-hmm.
He's cowardly. He compulsively lies. And there's like a lot of complexities in how you address stuff in this community, right? And in the fact that it's handled with such care, and also just an acceptance that there are no right answers,
Mm-hmm.
makes it refreshing and entertaining all at once. So the only like setup I'd say is Ramy is basically about he's the son of Egyptian immigrants trying to find his way in the world. And he basically makes a bunch of bad decisions in his like postgraduate youth, I'd say, something like that. And then Mo is about a guy who is a Palestinian refugee living in Houston, and both him also making bad decisions and trying to like win an asylum case for his family. I would say of the two, Mo is more likable than Ramy as a protagonist.
Yes, but Ramy is like you are meant to hate him. You're not like, yes, he's a main character.
He doesn't give us reasons to like him.
It's not a Carrie situation where they try to frame it as like, look at this likable character who does a lot of fucked up things that you're like, that's not likable. It's like he does mostly unlikable things. It's very rare that he does something that is likable would be likable to the audience or to anyone.
Well, I think what he is, right, is that like he's a very like, he doesn't want to confront like how hard life is, and that he doesn't want to confront the fact that if he wants to be a good person, he can't be selfish. At the same time, though, like he does hate himself, he does regret his actions, but like when he does it, you're like, will you shut the fuck up and like do something about it? You know what I mean? So he's very relatable in a very like subtextual level, right? He's not relatable in the sense like, oh, he struggled in ways I has. He's like, oh, I know a guy like that. Or even worse, I have been that guy. You know what I mean? Like,
or you're like, I've been in this predicament and I'm so happy I picked the right choice, because if I picked the wrong choice, this could have been what I'm in. It's very much like, it's something like you watch it and you're like, damn, I gotta get my life together because it stressed you out. You're like, I need to make sure all my ducks in a row.
But also, it's hilarious.
Yes.
In the same vein as it is like deeply emotionally wrenching and like very like morally complex. There's just some comical moments.
Very much so. And then Mo is even more just unique because it's
in Houston, and like they be doing some Houston shit.
I mean, because you always like, there's so much about like Muslim and Arab people like living in New Jersey or somewhere on the East Coast.
Mostly East Coast, right? Yeah.
Like they don't talk about how a lot of them in Michigan, but they definitely do not talk about
the
like,
Gulf Coast. They don't
like
talk about
like the Gulf Coast, just random parts of the South where there's like pockets of communities. And the thing is there's pockets of all different type of ethnic communities and
all across the country, right?
Yeah, like any place that you think there's definitely not insert ethnicity there. They are there. They're probably like an hour or two outside of the main city, but they are there, and they got a church, some kind of place to worship, or some community center or something. So it's very interesting because you still don't think about the like people who would be living in the South and the specific South things that they have to deal with that are very unique to living in the South, like being a part of that culture. But it's very interesting. Just also how diverse it is. Like he's Palestinian, his girlfriend's Mexican, his best friend's Nigerian, and not saying that Romney's not
it's a pretty diverse show, but it's Houston is one of those cities that's again, the way people in the North will write off the South as this heathen white Christian place. And I'm no, that's Indiana. But at the same time, right? It's
don't worry, Indiana thinks it's the South.
Unfortunately. But yeah, Houston is one of the most crazy diverse places in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, it's not known for that. Or if it is known, it's known for that subculturally.
Mm-hmm.
So those are good watches. I guess moving on to the next one on your list, we have this is one of the first shows we watched together, Desperate Housewives. So I remember the first time I was I think it must have been halfway through the second season or something.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting tired of playing video games or whatever. I'm I'll sit in and watch TV with Skyy, you know what I mean? And I definitely stuck through with you for a couple episodes, and then in my head I just have this blaring thought of this show feels like it was written by a gay Republican. With each passing episode. And then I decided to look it up, and it's no, literally the creator of Desperate Housewives is a log cabin Republican.
Very much, very gay, very like that. But no, Desperate Housewives is amazing. And if you didn't know, Desperate Housewives, the creation of that is the reason why we have the Real Housewives franchise.
Oh God.
That's why it's called The Real Housewives, because it's this is drama and fake. This is what Real Housewives are of these whatever areas. But Desperate Housewives is basically about a neighborhood where there's these very vast different women who are wives and mostly mothers and stuff like that.
But they're all wealthy. We don't talk about the level of wealth.
They live in suburbia, very suburbia. Not ooh, fake suburbia, or not suburbia, but it's right outside the city. This is upstate New York. I don't know where it's supposed to be located, but that type of money. That type of old money, or very
new development in an old money community.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I would say,
those houses were built in probably the 80s or 90s.
It's giving Orlando, Florida vibes.
It's giving Florida vibes for sure.
It's giving Jupiter. Jupiter, Florida. It's giving Jupiter, Florida.
I've never been to Jupiter, Florida.
I think every American, I think there needs to be a birthright trips for every American, but it's to go to Florida.
No, thank you.
You know what? We can have a principal disagreement on that and move on. You know what? We come to differences, and that's okay.
But Desperate Housewives is basically the messy of messy. All of the women are nosy, telling each other's business.
It's very much a gay man's understanding of what women are like.
Yeah, it's this is how women act with each other. But it is true to not all of the things that are happening, obviously, but some of the how it works. Some of it was truly. I'm this is how women act. But it was very much another look on white women, very wealthy people, suburbia, all the things that get covered up because there was so many murders and
it's
bad
they're
things
so
that
covered
happened.
Up because of mainly not even because of the illegality, but because of the threats that doing that pose to their reputations and further financial success.
Right. So literally it's they wouldn't even be oh, I'm scared of jail. It's oh, I'm scared of someone.
My husband's investment won't pay out if I
right.
But and also there was a lot of weird couch reactionary shit and Like, wasn't there this one thing where, like, one of the housewives was gonna have like a have another kid like a lot later in their life, and then they were worried about the kid having a disability, and there was this really weird like daydream sequence of like her raising the kid badly, but the kid still being grateful for it because he got to have a family instead of being aborted. Very weird. Like again, this show was written by a gay Republican. Both of those words are in the sentence. It is a gay man's understanding of how women like interact, and it is a very Republican oriented worldview, mind you.
Yeah, it's very funny. It's very white. I would not suggest it unless you are looking for some drama. Like you want to be a part of some mess. You don't really like reality TV, but you want that messiness. Like Desperate Housewives is pretty good. I'm not that big into reality TV. I would rather 100% know that this was written and scripted than assuming that it is, but having to pretend like this is real people's real lives.
I just put on Jerry Springer at that point.
Jerry. But yes, if you want to be messy, definitely watch Desperate Housewives. If you want to see white people being messy to each other, just open your door. Or you can watch Desperate Housewives.
Just real quick, wasn't one of the housewives also that one person who like did a bribery scandal to get their kid into college or whatever?
Yes.
They had one of those scandals, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. I was just trying to remember.
Yes. Because literally, and that's like the most Desperate Housewife thing. Like that could have been a plot on the series, is that someone used someone to bribe a college so the kid can get into college. Like that could have.
That was 100%, an extended.
That
was it.
Yeah, this one. They're just.
Does art imitate life, or does life imitate art?
She's a method actor. She just can't get out of the zone. She knew that she had to do whatever for her children.
So we've got two more things on each other's lists. Let's keep. I got another weird one, and you know what? For all the genre changing that's been going on, folks, you knew this show had no cohesion. You should have known by episode 25.
We put the cartoons together, kind of.
That's true. Okay, so next up on my list, I've got Man Like Mobeen, which
is absolutely amazing. If you want to watch a show where you're like, what?
It's so I think it's a BBC original that's on Netflix or something like that.
Something like that.
Only 3 seasons. Each episode's like 15 minutes. Very easy to binge. Basically a British Pakistani roadman mandem brov in it. So it's Guz Khan playing a reformed criminal, basically, who's like trying to take good care of his sister and like, you know, be somewhat upstanding in the community after being a drug dealer kind of thing. But basically his former life does not leave him. And it comes up in a variety of humorous ways. Some of the times are serious, and then some of it is but most of it's pretty funny. And it does end on a pretty heavy note, but a new season's coming out, so I'm very curious to see how it's gonna continue. But one, like, again, like Ramy and Mo, it handles like the community it's based on very sensitively. One thing that it handles that you don't see happen often in American television is like there is a measured discussion of class dynamics. That's a lot more present and a lot more sympathetic to working class struggles in that show that you just don't see in the United States.
Yeah, they was for show like living in the ghetto.
Birmingham. The ghetto.
The ghetto. Oh, I said the ghetto. I saw the white refrigerator.
No one's
like-
gonna get what that is.
No, honey, we have to find you a home. If you get it, then great for you. If you
Great
don't,
for you.
sorry.
Our two other gay listeners, this was for you. This is for you. Oh God. Okay. That's really all I gotta say on that show.
It's really good.
It's really good, but it's short, so like there's not a ton to be said about it.
But I like that it's short because it's going fast and it's like in a British like slang and shit. And
for their credit, they don't waste time on British shows. If
They don't.
If they can get the show done in 15 minutes, they'll get it done in 15 minutes.
They said, "What's the plot? Let's get to it."
8 seasons, we're done in 8 seasons.
Like,
why do I need a 9th one?
Like, I'm surprised that Luther's coming back because like British people be like, "Nah, fuck that. We did that. It's done." You not Doctor Who. You finished.
No, even if they kill each doctor each season.
Right. Like they like, we not feeling you. Bye. On to the next. But yeah, British people don't be playing. So like if you want to watch it, it's very good for someone who likes to rewatch things because the more you watch it, the more you're gonna catch different things.
If you honestly just want to test your ability to comprehend UK slang.
Oh, bro, I'm like, what the hell are they saying? Like the first time I don't remember. It was like a fever dream. They were speaking so fast. It was British. They said so much slang that I was just like, what the hell? Like, obviously you got to do context clues. Like, it's not rocket science, but like, it's just like you're not used to. I'm used to bruv, but I'm not used to all the other slang they were saying. I was not ready at all.
It's rather booky if you think about it.
It is booky.
It is booky. Oh, God. All right. Next up on your list, Netflix original series, You.
Let me tell you.
I think the only thing I gotta say about it is that if you didn't like the ending of Dexter, this show was made for you.
Again, not Dexter Laboratory. Did it? Get out of my laboratory.
It definitely seemed like, this was a time when the Netflix algorithm was smarter and the content guys were like, okay, we need a show for white women to watch. What are white women into? Charismatic serial killers. Let's go.
And honestly, this is a show that I did not want to watch and I didn't want to like either because I don't like, especially Netflix, just treating like true crime and like real life murders as just another way to get a paycheck. Which is why I
This is also a show where like the memes basically made the viewer base. And I'll be honest, I fall for that a lot. Well, I'm also a jerk who watched The White Lotus because everyone was posting about it.
I think it was less of the memes and more like this is one of the only Netflix shows where they did like a little bit of advertisement. Because Netflix doesn't know how to fucking advertise. Or they know how. They're just like, oh, why spend money on that? Nobody knows our metrics anyway, so we can just say this show did well and this show did bad and that's what it is because we are the only people who know if the show did well or not.
Which, yeah, if you are the finance, what is the agency that determines if your company's a fraud or not?
Better Business Bureau.
No, that's not a government.
Oh, well, I don't know what you're talking about.
Whoever, listen, I know the feds is watching. So like, can y'all like investigate like Netflix like? What is with their thing where it's like, oh, we keep our viewer metrics like internal?
Right.
What?
That doesn't even sound really legal, but like, okay.
That's basically insider trading, right?
This doesn't sound right. But You is basically there's this white dude. He's cute and all, and he's like a little bit of a stalker. And by a little bit, I mean he's a full stalker. And
by a full stalker, he is literally a sociopath.
He's
right?
literally like he sees people, and he's like got in his head that they like love him, want to be around him, whatever. He has this idea of them. They don't end up being that, so they end up dead in some situations. It's a well-written show.
It is a compelling crime drama.
And
only take it as a crime drama.
I will also say that I do not think that this would have worked with any other star, like Penn Bagley or whatever the fuck his name is.
That is not his name.
His name's Penn.
With two N's?
Yeah, P-N-N.
My name's Adi. That's fine.
But like he is a very good actor. He has this like
he has the range.
He has a very good range. He has this like a very big likability with just like, I don't know, he's got one of those likable white faces. So him being in this,
oh, he's from Baltimore.
Be more. Him being in this like really makes the series, if it was done with other people, it would not be as successful. But also I like that because that is pulling away the veil of like people thinking that like it's just like creepy people lurking, or like people who are outsiders who couldn't get a date, all this other stuff. Like Ted Bundy, a lot of these other serial killers were very likable. They were very personable. People fell in love with them and wanted to be around them. And that was a part of how they lured people into their lairs.
I think definitely with the second season, having both, what's his name? Penn Badgley and the girl he's interested in, having them both be like crazy stalker killers, you know what I mean?
And I feel like it's
who fell for each other and like they're just hiding their power level from each other.
Yeah,
that's compelling drama, I guess.
It's not like it's just multiple. It's not multiple seasons of him doing the exact same thing in the exact same way, and you're just like, why am I still watching this? It's like very unique, different, weird. Definitely, yes, I would suggest it if you like true crime, but you don't want to profit off of real people's like agony and sadness and
just the horrible pro cop, like,
yeah, just remember that, like the Jeffrey Dahmer, all of that shit, like the reenactments are of like real people in the courtrooms, of like people who are still alive who had their families ripped apart because he did all of the atrocious things that he did. And like Netflix profits off of them and they don't get anything. They just get re-traumatized and possibly sent that or whatever the fuck.
And they're not getting paid for it.
They don't get paid for it. It's just, they just take their likeness for executives' pockets. That's the only people who are making money off of this.
And I think that's one of the biggest things, right, about true crime. We're going to take a diversion here. You know, I'm not going to pretend I'm better than anyone. I am someone who feeds the content machine, you know. I think my racket is politics and takes. But true crime is one of those dimensions where it's like there's just a dearth of like content to be made. Mm-hmm. It's one of those content making avenues that's proven itself to not only like be easy to gain a following, but like become profitable. Mm-hmm. And there's just, I don't know. I'm not accusing you of it because you have a healthier approach to it. And like, I'm not going to say everyone has like I'm not saying everyone who engages the medium has a weird approach to it, but there's just something problematic about our cultural approach to it. And then especially like the creation of true crime heads. You know what I'm talking about? So I was listening to this podcast earlier, The Clown and the Candyman. It's actually a good show. But it's part of a network that produces true crime content. Mm-hmm. And in each episode, literally every 5 minutes, there's an ad going off for like one of the other shows. And it's like... There's like there's a line that's being blurred between like watching horror entertainment and like listening to true stories and getting scared. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's not to say that like there isn't like an aspect of investigative journalism or like investigative justice or like educational or like historical stuff, right? That's valid. I think that like all those aspects are valid of it. But then there's just a part of this where it's like, I don't know, this is kind of also incentivizing people to like always be afraid of one another, always like, like the police are okay no matter what fucked up shit they do. I'm not even going to get into some of the more paranoid stuff and just get into like, it's just, there's something extremely fraught with it.
I will say always be wary of any true crime that paints police well, because usually, especially if it's like an unsolved murder, they didn't solve that. They should not be painted in a manner. A lot of situations, especially in later years, cops used to be like, we won't even do anything unless this person is gone for 24, 48, 72 hours. So wasting the most important time to find somebody because cops are just like, no, we're not supposed to, even though they were. So if you do listen to true crime, if you realize that they are really painting police in a good light, you should stop listening to that person, because if police did their jobs, then there would be no unsolved mysteries, or there would be no mass murders or serial killers, because they would get caught on their first serial kill. It would not be a serial kill. It would be one situation. And then a lot of these stories usually involve someone who has multiple run-ins with the law, and sometimes they are given a slap on the wrist because they are white, or because of the times, and they were white, and that aided in multiple other people getting hurt. So if you can obviously see that with the not doing research, just listening to a podcast, and that person who's doing the podcast can't see that after doing their research, turn off that podcast. That person is dumb.
And this is also a time to maybe highlight that there are people who do a lot of investigative journalism and do a lot of research. Mm-hmm. Support those people.
Yes. Please. But if you can tell, and you can always tell very early on, I mean, when I listen to podcasts, especially podcasts that are true crime or some kind of crime content, it's very important how the person is framing what they're doing. So I don't like it when people do makeup and tell a story because it feels unserious.
Yeah, you're talking about people dying in their most vulnerable moments.
Yeah,
with,
and then you're
people.
And now we're gonna use MAC Ruby Red, and it's that just being an influencer. Don't do all
just what is it, white women drinking wine? While,
yeah,
that shit is always rubbing.
But some of the people I listen to, have actually done they take some of their profits and they give it to organizations that are helping people, and that is one of the things. I have very much started a something true crime, listened to 3 seconds and hated the way that they did their little snarky personable stuff, and being I'm not listening to this, I don't care. It's not cute.
There's some serious stuff being discussed here. Can there be a measure of respect?
Yeah,
to the material? That's really all.
Honestly.
Right. Anyways, program to chill. We love them, folks.
We love them, folks.
We love them. All right. Shit, where did I go on the list? Okay. My Google tab for Penn Badgley is open. Fun fact, he was also a voice actor for Mario Golf 64.
Wow.
And Mario Tennis 64.
Wow.
All right. So we'll do my one last. I think the other entry you had is the Jamie Foxx show. And a lot of shows will roll into that one, but I mean,
it's absolutely amazing. And this is back where they used to give like just funny motherfucker shows.
the Bernie Mac show, the Jamie Foxx show,
the Steve Harvey show. Like just be like go off, and it's so good. It's so good because it's just like
they don't write comedy like this.
They don't. They also don't have people who are like Jamie Foxx. Like Jamie Foxx, his whole thing, especially at that moment, was like, look how multi-talented I am. I'm doing this comedy, I'm acting, I do singing, like I do all of these different things. And it's like people don't have star power anymore. And it's very much real. Like some person will do something on TikTok and they'll become famous and they'll get a contract or whatever, but they will have no star power past those like 3 minutes on TikTok. They don't have it. There's very little it people, or people who are like, I am going to do it. I'm going to be successful. And that's kind of how like what his show was about. Like, I know that I'm talented, so I'm going to try to be.
This is my audition reel, basically.
Yeah, and it was very good. I think.
I mean, here's the thing. It is a sitcom, unlike Living Single. This is like its own class of things. It's more mid-brow than it is highbrow.
Yes, like it very much just like hijinks. Like the main characters getting into like just doing all the wrong things. Like it's like Ramy, but he's Jamie Foxx's character.
Well, no, but there's no deep lessons to be learned.
Yes.
But again, if you want to know the iconic origins of statements such as, "Yo, Pierre, you want to come out here?"
A lot of memes that people don't realize come from like 90s television shows, because like people who are in media grew up on that, or they like really enjoyed it. They were the people who watched it. Like they were the viewers on Friday night who was sitting at home watching this shit. So they kept this shit on television. But like the Jamie Foxx show is what happens when you give country bumpkins something like to do, because like just there's some people that they just need a show and you just need to see them do stuff, because you won't know how talented they are unless you see that talent. And I think that's like one of the things with the Jamie Foxx show. Like people, it was a way for him to display all of his different talents. Like he sang during the show, like it was obviously supposed to be funny. He's acting, there will be some serious moments, so like you would see those serious moments and you're like, okay, he got the range. So shows like that is very rare, and I really wish that they would bring those back.
They're not going to bring those back, and this is going to lead into a question I had about this one, right? It's like, so we talked about this earlier in this exact show, where people downplay that there was a mature apparatus for black entertainment back in the day. And for whatever reason, and this is again why we need like a Hulu documentary budget to investigate this, right? Of like what happened in the Bush era that like it just kind of got pushed off to the side culturally, and then it came back. Like, I know I have my own individual reasons for not being able to pay attention to that, just being a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, it's questions like that make me wonder, like, so you're really telling me, like, everyone was sitting around until Blackish and Insecure came out? Is that really what was...
I mean, there was very small pockets, but, like, yeah.
And that's the next question, is, like, do Blackish and Insecure even stack up? Because I don't know. I don't really think they... The times are different, but...
I think the times are different, and, like, the thing with shows in the 90s and the 2000s is that it's not like they were the only show, especially on whatever network they were. Like, they were one of the multiple black shows, or like shows that featured mainly people of color. But like now it's like maybe each network would have one black show. Probably not, though. Mm-hmm. Probably not. And it's really funny when people like talk about like wokeness and all this other stuff, because it's like, if there was woke stuff, then like you would see way more black people on television. You would see way more people of color on television, and they would just put them in television shows that are like Modern Family, or like something that they could just easily digest. Like, it wouldn't be like a show about black people and their black experience. It'll be a show, and I love New Girl, but like New Girl, like,
right.
They had two main black characters, but there was very little about the black experience, including they making the most dark-skinned black person a fucking cop. So like, but yes, like, if there was a real wokeness, there will be more shows like that. Again, I am not a New Girl hater. I very much like New Girl. It's a very funny show, especially the earlier seasons.
We are very much a pro Jake Johnson.
This is a pro Jake Johnson's house.
Listen, when he pulled out Mao's Red Book...
that was so funny.
I had to stand with him on that one.
Hilarious.
But again, it's like, I think what that kind of shows is like there's two approaches to representation as it stands right now. One is like, you saturate it with this discussion on black people's experiences, and then the other one is you bring more black people into the foreground. I mean, by black people, I mean like people of color, marginalized groups, you know. You bring them into the foreground, but then you don't exposit on what things are like for them. And I feel like neither approach is working right now.
Right.
And it's also like, I would just reckon that media has the capability of the medium has developed, but quality has not developed over time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Like, it also feels like it feels very premature in a way to like look at projects like Blackish and Insecure as like being more groundbreaking than they are, because like, yeah, they brought something to the table today, but like when you like examine some of the projects, you're like, oh, they could have done better with this.
Way better.
I'm trying to think like as far as like black media projects have come out in the recent era, like what would you say has been the best thing to come out so far? That regardless of what spectrum of treatment they give their characters, like what's been the best like approach you've seen so far? What's been the best piece of work that's been put out there?
It's a real head scratcher.
It's a real head scratcher. I'm sorry.
Honestly, Abbott Elementary.
Surprisingly.
Like, because like a lot of the other, like, I love Insecure, especially the earlier seasons, but like her friend, even though she worked in a nonprofit situation, all of her friends, very middle class, like all of them had college degrees and all of them
it was very much like yuppie shit to me.
Yeah, and though like yes, you have a college degree if you're a teacher, it's still like being a teacher is more like it's middle class technically, but it's lower middle class as a position. Unless you have a rich significant other, you are not living a very lavish life. You do not live in like not New York. You don't live in like high rises and all this other stuff. And it also, I will say that another thing about Insecure is for her to be broke in some of those seasons, it didn't have the stress of what it is really like to be broke.
Mm-hmm.
So
especially in California.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that.
I mean, yeah, basically like what I would point to is like, you know, people, the whole premise of this show that has made me sound like a broken record, you know, when it comes to politics, we talk about, well, everything's about upholding this consumer convenience society, and what we have in place of meaningful transformational political change, what we have instead is endless discourse parsed through whatever camp of the culture war you identify yourself to be part of, right? Mm-hmm. And like I said, that's the mechanism we have to talk about culture and media. So what gets missed in that mechanism is like the 80s and 90s. You know what I mean? Like, Black people didn't just get on television. It's like, no, there have been like projects that break that framework of that discussion. So how do you factor them in, right? But yeah, I think like what it seems like to me is like, I don't think there's enough of a conversation about how, whether you like TV or film as a medium, you have to kind of tie them to the fact that capital runs everything in this system. And you have to understand the dictates of what that wants, and you have to understand like where executives think the money is going to be, and that ultimately determines how projects kind of function right now, which is a darn shame, because if you do want media to be transformational, it's not inherently going to be.
Yeah, it's not about what's profitable. It's about like what is real, but that's not what people want. That's not how this walks.
No, we had like a discussion with like some friends in real life about this, right? It's like books, TV, whatever, and it's like, I mean, with TV and film, like, you got to listen to the execs at a point. And if they don't think it's profitable, they're not going to fund your project unless you tweak things. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, last one on my list. This is less of a show and more of a. I have it listed as Stranger Things in brackets. Mutual bonding over hating Netflix. Yes. Again,
Netflix, you dirty bitch.
Like, here's the thing about Stranger Things. Everyone's heard it. I'm not going to rehash it. It's very weird anti-Soviet propaganda. It's very much a 90s kids understanding of what the 80s were like. It's just like, oh, this show's retro because we put a Transformers action figure in the corner of the scene. Ha!
Look at the kids are playing.
The kids are playing second edition D&D. Look at them. Ha! He's got a bowl cut.
They got bikes. That's so 80s, which
and it's also very funny, right? Where it's like the thing is like, oh, the government's experimenting on kids. Fuck Russia, though. They never talk about that.
Literally just random, like, little, like, yeah, fuck Russia. And I'm like, okay, I understand the time period, and I can understand you got personal beef, but it really don't fit with, like, what that got to do with the monster. Like,
well, yeah,
and they, like, tried to make it work, and I'm like, this still doesn't work.
And it was okay in the first 2 seasons or so, right? But then, like, third and fourth, especially, like, it's just like, this is more CGI nonsense. This is more cash grabby shit. And it's the only show Netflix wants to promote. It's the only show Netflix seems to have an invested, like, they want to get a return on their investment for it.
Like, I saw stuff with Domino's, where they had
the Stranger Things order pizza, whatever.
Pizza thing, on Doritos.
Right.
I'm like, how did the whole year's budget for advertising for all of the shows get spent on Stranger Things? Y'all need to rearrange this budget. And I understand. I know what sells. I know the money. I understand. But I'm telling you, this is not this good for you to be doing all of this. Put some money into some different projects, please. I beg of you.
I feel like the way they be writing concepts for shows is like they'd be playing ad libs. It's like they were like, okay, what's something that's profitable? They look at what's profitable. They see Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like retro. People love retro and sci-fi. Let's think of a setting. They pull a setting out their ass. Genre horror. And they just try to garble a plot from there. And this is the one thing that Netflix got to stick for a bit.
I mean, the real thing is that Hollywood is not letting anyone other than 2 white dudes get
brothers
together and create any lasting project. And I'm tired of it. Stop. I'm tired of these same 2 white dudes in different forms going around and ruining everything. And
also, like, I'm just gonna say, like, especially on the production of the 3rd season, like, there were a lot of allegations of, like, them being a very, like, bad environment to work around. They didn't make it it wasn't a good environment for people to work with.
Right, especially knowing that, like, some of the main characters are children.
And that's another thing. I don't like the way that, like, these kids are always put in, like, the media's eyes, and it's like
how they're treated. I have the whole thing about children actors, and it's really,
like, I don't want to be the moral panic police here, but it's just like they did not do anything to protect those kids from the media.
No,
they did not.
No, they did nothing to protect Millie Bobby Brown from Drake, and I like. It's very disappointing because, like, as him being an ex-child star, like, you would think that he would be talking to, like, the youth and, like, giving them advice. But even if he is doing that, he just gives the biggest creep fucking vibes. And he's just being there nasty, weird, corny, loser, boo tomatoes.
In conclusion, man, like, Stranger Things is like everything wrong with media.
Yeah.
It's Netflix will not support any project unless it's giving them undue financial success. And when it is, it's something that, like, is, how, like, in the Marvel episode we were talking about, like, ways in which they, like, hijack different audience expectations, or different ways that, like, the audience might get dopamine from something in exchange for more merch sales. Like, they do a lot of that.
Yes.
Which is funny because, like, that's the whole thesis behind blaxploitation cinema, right? Which is like, oh yeah, black people love martial arts movies, so we just go like, but it's like, but then that was actually good. Yeah.
But, like, I mean, the whole reason why Iron Man was created in
to sell toys,
the movie
just fucking sell toys,
show, like, action figures. It's always to sell something. If you can sell them on the media and then a secret second thing that they don't know, that you are advertising towards them, they're gonna fucking eat that shit up. And then you can do like a Weeble Wobble brand deal, and everybody got a Squishamallow of Katara, and it's just like, look at us, we did it, we advertised.
The
to
Funko
the
Pops, there you go.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, like they're guilty of that. Netflix has probably plugged God knows how many decent projects they had to fund this one.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't protect their child stars. They didn't make it a good environment for staff to work on, is what it sounds like to me. And there's just a very like asinine approach to like talking about things like you can't just set up like deep state conspiracy theory plots and then never follow up on them.
Yeah.
You can't set those up and then be like, but the Soviet Union is worse, so we're going to make anti-Soviet propaganda. And it's like what it did do well with special effects and like horror in like the first season all went down the shitter after that.
And like I feel like the only redeemable thing they have for this last season is that they did real effects for the one monster. Like that was all Vecna.
Oh yeah.
That was like they had a real personal.
They brought old dude
effect.
from Sweeney Todd.
Like
that
it
was
absolutely amazing. Like how it used to be. Like we used to have real effects for fucking shit, and now everything's just fucking CGI. And I was very happy to learn that was the one thing they did not CGI.
I just hope Kate Bush got her money from that song.
Oh, Kate Bush is like.
I hope she got her money.
She running up that hill, bruh. Like, bruh.
Also, another thing that I was just thinking about, right, is like the adult actors they have, right? Like, who was the old dude who was playing the cop?
I don't know, but he's got that white man thing that Jake Johnson also has. That
he's like an older Jake Johnson. Yeah,
like the you just like we'll save you from the white people purge.
It's also very funny to me that like the show is set in Indiana and they don't talk about the government research facility.
They barely
even touch on that.
They barely talk about it. I didn't see one cornfield.
Oh my! Well, no, because again, like the Duffer Brothers are from North Carolina. They are from North Carolina,
which is disgusting.
The whole setting of Hawkins, Indiana, makes sense if it's a town in North Carolina. It does not make sense for Indiana at all. But yeah, what I was trying to get at is like David Harbour and Winona Ryder, amazing actors.
Yes,
their performances in season 1, phenomenal. Wasted in the most recent season of Stranger Things.
I mean, the only thing I can say in situations like this where you're like, this is a waste of this actor's like talent is I know that chick fat. I know that chick sick. And I know that chick cleared fast. So good for them.
All I'm saying is like, if this is, if David Harbour is using this to move on to bigger and better things, good on you, player.
I mean, a Netflix show, the one thing about Netflix is that if they like you, you will be placed in a lot more projects. Like Netflix loves to discover or like rediscover an artist, an actor or actress, and then put them in a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
Which I don't hate, but like it's also sad that like you could have all of this experience and then you have to do this shitty little Netflix show for people to realize that you are it and you have all of this talent and range.
I mean, like we're saying, right? Like, capital is running the game. It doesn't matter how much talent you have, what nominal ideas you have that could be worthy to discuss. Money dictates art right now.
Mm-hmm.
And as we said earlier, we need more bad art right now.
We do.
We do need bad art, and we need to use the bad art to drive down the cost of good art.
The more bad art we have, the less NFTs will matter. So make more bad art.
Also, I need to pull this up. Someone shared a meme and I retweeted it today where it was like, oh, Marx didn't predict NFTs, and then there's a chapter in Capital, Volume 3, Part 5, Chapter 25, Credit and Fictitious Capital.
Bro, the most fictitious capital is just... And, like, we, with a friend, like, really talked about NFTs one day, shooting the shit, and, like, everything I knew got solidified, and I am 100%...
Don't you love it when your gut instinct on something being a scam
is... I
is...
just love it when I don't understand things, but I understand. Like, I didn't know, but I knew. And once a scam is always a scam, you can... If you know how to spot a scam, you can spot a scam no matter how many people
That's one of those things you don't need to...
future.
You don't need to show your work on spotting a scam.
You do not need to... Like, gut feeling, bro. I don't care. And it's like, oh, no, all of these crypto companies were faking their profits and just lying and all. What? Who could have predicted? Only a lot of people. Only most people. I don't know. Anyone with sense. It's just like...
I hope the mic didn't pick up how hard I was laughing that I farted. I hope it didn't pick that up.
I just want y'all to know it's real. If it seems too good to be true, that's because it is. That's always been the thing. You don't really need any more. I don't need to give you examples. It really is. It's too good to be true.
Well, speaking of things that are too good to be true, we are now done with each other's lists. So now it's time to move on to the wild card category.
Should I say my wild card category?
Yes,
first?
Let's start with yours.
So mine is something that is close to my heart, mostly because we recently watched some nice Christmas movies.
Dear God.
And someone tweeted this year that Hallmark Christmas movies or Hallmark movies are like coded for Republicans. So like you see all of the covers and it's just white people. Usually she's blonde, sometimes she's brunette. And they're wearing, the girl's always in red and the boy's always in green, and they're looking at each other and it's like Runaway Christmas, Christmas on Holiday, Holiday Rush, like stupid little titles like that. But I made a comment that Lifetime is the Democrat coded TV network, and Lifetime in the recent years have put out a lot more Christmas movies that are for more diverse people. So
they made Christmas woke.
In
the war on Christmas, a new territory has emerged.
That one dude who was just like, no woke Santa this year. It's like, why are you using woke as quoted for black? Like, just say the slur you wanted to say, dude. We know you wanted. I know what you really meant, and I know what you said in front of your family. Oh Lord. But basically, we watched a lot of, or not just a lot. We watched a couple of Christmas movies that were like black based, and or like they had main characters that were black, and then on top of that, we watched a Christmas movie with queer people that was a Lifetime movie. Which I don't know if you were with me last year when I watched the Hulu movie with like the gay girls.
Oh,
Kristen Stewart was in it. It's that movie, that Hulu one, horrible. It's a horrible movie, horrible ending, horrible characters, horrible everything. If you want to shit watch a bad movie, watch that one. But this one that we watched, it was really cute, and it was lesbians, and it was like very cutesy.
No, it was very much like a picture perfect, like very saccharine one. The plot is also like stupid. Like the plot is about like getting a tree for the state capitol, but it belongs to this town that's having a reforestation project.
And it's like, this is their tree. It's like, but we need the tree. It's a deadline. We don't need her signature for the tree. They're falling in love. Like, it's just...
That's exactly how those movies
go. It's how all of those movies are. And I hate it because I'm a sucker for them, especially if I'm not in the Christmas spirit. I will like watch them and then they'll just be so corny. And I was just telling him about like the other types of Christmas movies. Like one of them is
what was the Motown Christmas one you were watching? Oh, that one was crazy.
Yes, it had Smokey Robinson and like it was based in Detroit and they were like running around Detroit trying to find Smokey to help the church roof. So and then the couple, they used to be together and they broke up. They got back together. She got a foster kid. It's cute. Like, it was a really cute movie. And I love those, like, cute little predictable movies. You know that everything good is going to happen. You could probably imagine majority of the twists and turns, but not all of them. But, like, it's a very amazing genre if you're really looking for something predictable. I am a fan of corny Christmas movies, and I think you should watch a Lifetime one, and you should also watch a Hallmark one.
Which is the centrist one?
No.
Okay. Watching both at the same time?
Yes, I guess.
Oh, God. What my nightmare is like there's a DSA themed Christmas movie at some point.
No.
I think it would end up on the Lifetime channel. It would.
No, it's a YouTube original.
It's a YouTube original. There we go. Oh, man. All right. My wild card category is... And anyone who's following me on Twitter knows this a little too well. Anyone who's seen 2 of our podcast releases this year knows about this. Mecha anime. Specifically Gundam.
I will say...
What was it like on your end just watching me fall into this?
I mean, like, how it literally went is, like, we were talking about, like helping your inner child, like giving yourself things that you couldn't get as a kid, or you like couldn't get, too poor to get, they didn't want to, whatever the reason, or things you really wanted to get into, just like trying to heal your inner child. And it sounds corny, but it really does work. And
you don't have to do it the consumerist way if you don't want to. It also just means like showing like a little softness for like things that happen when you're younger, not being mean on kids the way like, you know.
Right. Like wearing clothes that like remind you of when you were younger, wearing your hair, like, you know, just watching something that you used to like when you were a child. It doesn't have to be like buying something, but like we were talking about Gundam, or like we just like, I talked about like, is there anything that you have that you would want to get into that you enjoyed as a child?
And I was like, hold the fuck up.
Hold up. And now 1 million Gundam.
I do not have 1 million. No,
he does not have 1 million. But it's really interesting because first of all, you be concentrating. This week he was putting one together and I took a nap, and it was like a nice long nap, and he was not even finished yet. By the time I woke up, I was like, oh, well, I'm happy you're in the room. But like there's also a series and everything, and video games, so it goes back to that, like, you know, everything, no matter what, is about the consumer and try to get in.
I'm definitely not going to justify it. Like, it is basically Japanese Star Wars, and just in the way that Star Wars is a merch hawk fest.
Yeah, but like it's always better when you do something with your hands. Like, if your hobby has something to do with you actually doing and creating something, then you feel a lot better about it. Like, it feels like there's a part of, like, I did something, I completed something, look at it, it's finished, I did this. That's satisfying. So I'm very happy you got into it again. You've had a lot of fun.
I'd say it's been another fruitful year watching TV with you. And I'm looking forward to 2023 to watch more shows with you.
Yeah, hopefully they get good.
Hopefully, yeah.
Please. If you have some TV shows that you would like to recommend us,
DMs are open, comments are open.
Yeah.
Otherwise, LinkedIn, Grindr, StubHub, 9anime, what else?
Did you just say StubHub?
I said StubHub. Fandango, SoundCloud.
Oh, my favorite.
Farmers Only.
My favorite social media, Vimeo. Because literally, if you don't know, people can see the things that you send.
Yeah, that's why you gotta send it to private.
Send it on private because, like, I have caught people in things because of Venmo, because you see them sending something to or from someone.
Most embarrassing one I've seen is someone, like, send money to somebody and literally in the caption was written Plan B. That's one of the most embarrassing
but,
ones
like,
I've
the
seen.
thing is that could have been a joke.
And
it most likely was a joke, but how would I, a random person who has you as a Venmo connection, know that?
Honestly, here's my thing about Venmo that keeps me kind of sussed out, right? Is like, you can't send money without sending that note, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, there's got to be some weird thing going on with, like, with the note, right? Where it's like, what if someone is being just, like, a little too, like, blasé with it? Like, what if somebody's like, haha, Zaza, in, like, the...
Well, I don't think they would, like, not if it was, like, Zaza, but I think if someone put sell for marijuana, like, bro, you
get in trouble, bro.
Especially when they talking about, like, putting this shit on your taxes, they gonna be like, hey, so a lot of someone sent you money for marijuana.
I'm thinking about old dude in the Arkansas COVID vaccine ad.
I'm an entrepreneur.
I'm in these streets.
I sell things.
In these streets.
So yes, literally, it's
maybe he's a real estate agent. Maybe he's a real estate agent.
No, he not.
Maybe he's a car dealer.
No, he not.
Maybe he does Postmates.
Maybe you're an Uber driver.
Uber job.
But the most thing is be a little bit more convert when you're doing stuff. A lot of things are private or public.
Talk to your lawyer.
Talk to your lawyer.
Get
a lawyer.
And listen, like, if the lawyer's pants are not hemmed right, you going to jail.
If the lawyer's shoes don't look right, you going to jail.
If he got his shit at Foot Locker, it's a wrap.
If your person don't know who you are, which case you are, it's a wrap.
If he got the shoes from JCPenney, you have a fighting chance.
You do have a fighting chance because, like, my mama fuck with JCPenney.
He definitely got a coupon. You know what I mean? He got himself
definitely got a coupon. But, like, that's the thing is, like, you can, like, I know that some places coupons are, like, a scam. Depending on, like, when you go to JCPenney's, this could, like, you could be making, you could be stealing from them. Like, you basically.
Honestly, though, no. Like, the thing about JCPenney is, like, it just seems like hell on earth to work there because it's like,
oh yeah,
you have these ambiguously worded coupons that they don't tell you the rules for stacking,
bro. I'm giving everybody an extra discount. I don't care.
You got all these various uncles and aunties of all ethnicities,
all of them,
and it's like united by the fact that they need this bargain.
You literally,
they need this.
They
bargain.
don't care about this item of clothing. They don't need
They
it
don't
for
care
a
about
specific
fashion.
thing.
They don't care about status.
They need
They
the
need the
specific
discounts.
bargain. Like they get off of, and I really think that a lot of people, like the couponers, like the extreme couponers, like that's like gambling to them. Like it's not like, oh look, we're getting such a deal. It's like, we're getting such a deal, I'm getting off on it. Like that's why they do that shit. Because why the fuck you got 86 different rolls
but think about like how
packs of toilet paper.
Think about the ways in like there aren't even coupons the way there used to be anymore. Now like if there is a coupon, it's like it's only because they tie your expenses to like the card you've been using to spend.
Right.
So they send you like
personalized.
Kroger is a store that does this. Where like if you got like a membership in their store, they send you personalized coupons. You think, oh my God, that's great. It's like, no, why do they know I buy 25 pounds of carrots every trip? What's going on here?
It's like, okay, if you know I buy this all the time, then at least give me a better coupon. If you like advertising directly to me, give me a deal. Like this, I don't feel like you giving me a deal. 10 cents off ain't a deal. Think about that, Kroger.
I don't know. I already know very little about film and television. Retail is one of those things I'm not about to get into.
You don't want to.
I
stay away.
I think eventually at some point we are going to have to do like a regional pizza chain analysis.
Yes.
I think if not that, we need to have some type of competitive event for regional pizza chains. And I'm thoroughly ready to defend like the way they would have like those trials by combat in Game of Thrones. I would step up as like the Oberyn Martell for Jets Pizza.
I think we would need
I would show up with the
taste
staff
test.
and everything. You know what I mean?
I really do think like, I mean, I know that like blind taste test, I'll be able to tell what it is Little Caesars, but still.
I think so not to relitigate the Little Caesars discourse. Damn, you just be. There's always something going on.
It's too late. Take your kids inside. They need to be asleep. Why aren't they asleep?
It is at the time of recording. It is 10:38 p.m. I only got like 2 things to edit out, and then like I'm about to release this. I'm hitting that 60 episode target by the end of the year. Maybe I'll go on sabbatical, and by sabbatical I mean I'm gonna read, but I'm probably. If I release an episode, great, but I need to iron out like a release schedule. Because, like, dear listener, I'm struggling with like feeding the content machine. I don't like doing it. I'm very conscious of this. Like, what is the purpose of producing content after talking at length about why it's bad, right? And there's people I follow in this community. There's people whose work I really respect. And when I look at them, I'm like, yeah, that's someone who should be doing this. And then I kind of look at my work and I'm like, on the one hand, I feel like maybe there is like merit to what I'm doing. But on the flip side, like, what do I do that's meaningful? What do I do that's sustainable? And more importantly, what am I doing that's interesting that I got to start answering? Otherwise, it's just this bizarre pressure to like feed the machine, and it's like I don't want to feed the machine. So either 2023 will be a time of ethical shit posting, or I might start working on like some better produced, better researched content with like occasional weekly segments that are just for funsies. But
whatever we put out, that's what you're going to get.
You going listen. I want this to be a show where like we do segments, and I also just want this to be a show where I'm like, I'm going to talk about Gundam because that's what I'm interested in, and y'all going to hear it. Because at the end of the day, this is a free show. The best things in life are free.
True.
And if I do ever make money off of this, it's got to be in a way that's not coming out of somebody's pocket. I don't think I'm making something that can justify the cost right now. Maybe one day if I do, I'll put it out, and I think the work would speak for itself at that point. But at this point, I want this to be free. I want this to be fun. I just want it to be laid back. But yeah, we'll try to get to episode 60 by the end of the year. Knock on wood. And until then, we'll see you next time, dear listener.
Bye.
You can follow this show on Twitter at @PodGreenhouse. I'll put the links to all our social media in the description. And yeah, if you don't hear from us soon, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Stay safe. Don't give your family diseases.
Bye.
Bye.